So last night there were two blowouts in the NFL. The Eagles, who are looking really, really good right now. Jalen Hurts is making significant progressions within his game. Primetime Kirk Cousins reared his ugly head once again, and the Eagles took care of business. But the one game that I was really paying attention to, one because my roommate, so Jacob, if you're listening or watching this, I feel bad for your fantasy struggle last night because I was on your side, but Jalen Hurts could not get 40 points, which is it's a shame, but at least you got your guy for the rest of the season. So I wouldn't be too worried about the loss. For the Bills, wow, that's crazy. I think there's a lot of things you can take away from it. You can go, man, what a butt kicking, man, what this, man, what that. What can I really say about Buffalo other than, man, they were great. That Josh Allen is Josh Allen. He moved the ball well. This Buffalo team is gelling on every phase of the ball, creating turnovers on special teams, defense, moving the ball really efficiently on offense with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. James Cook is starting to find his own. It feels like the team is really coming together even better than they have in the last couple of years. This Buffalo team is scary. They took down the Super Bowl champs. They took on the number one seed in the AFC like it was nothing. They're like the Thanos, and not to be a Marvel nerd, but like the Thanos of the NFL right now, just blowing through people like it's nobody's business. It's the scene. I'm gonna go full nerd. It is the scene in Infinity War. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Thanos has all the stones, or he has five of the stones, and he's trying to get the last one, and everybody's trying to stop him, and he's just blowing through everybody like a piece of paper. That is Buffalo right now. He's not even having to break a sweat trying to do it. So the rest of the NFL is in trouble there. But this is more about Tennessee. This is a weird situation. Before the season started, I was just like, man, Tennessee is a one seed last year. Let's really examine that. It's Ryan Tannehill, and it's that defense. It's Mike Vrabel doing all he can as a coach. I just never really Tennessee's been so underwhelming to me, especially with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. I always felt like it just was never really there. And I know that there was a lot of injuries on that team last year and that the Bengals just kind of came out of nowhere. But man, I still felt so overwhelmed. I know they didn't have Derrick Henry and they have him now and they're 0-2. And I think it might be time to can Ryan Tannehill. I think last year it was one touchdown, three picks. You're the number one seed in the AFC. You got to find a way to make it work. You got Derrick Henry in company, and you trade away AJ Brown, and you get Traylon Burks, who looks fine. I don't know if he's an AJ Brown. Robert Woods, who's recovering from ACL. So they tried to retool this Tennessee Titans team, and in two games they have just looked very, very underwhelming. It's not a lot of things to really brag on them about. I've never really been a Ryan Tannehill guy at quarterback. I thought he was like a lesser version of Jimmy Garoppolo, a game manager that still makes the same bad mistakes. And to be completely honest with you, I think it could be high time for Malik Willis to come in pretty soon. Let's say the Titans start 0-3. Let's say the Titans start 0-4. It may be time to just kind of see what Malik has. Ryan Tannehill's getting older. I believe he's 35, 36, starting to get to the tail end of his career. I know it was a close game at halftime. It was 17-7 last night. And it could also just be that Tennessee ran into two great teams and they just got their butts kicked in that sense. But man, did Tennessee look incompetent last night? It may be high in time for Malik Willis. I would be excited to see it. He's not the quarterback I expected to start just because I believe Tennessee would still kind of figure it out within that sense of the season. But it's I just don't know, man. Tennessee has been so freaking underwhelming. It's a scary realization to have because I had a lot of, and like I just said, I have had a lot of reservations about this team. They lose to the Giants in week one, and the Giants are 2-0. They may be a really good football team, but the Giants again, they're still that's a developing, rebuilding team. Tannehill threw some interceptions in that game, and in this situation, they just looked outclassed. Maybe there just needs to be a spark. Maybe there needs to be something that's pushed because I believe Mike Vrabel's a great NFL coach. What he did with that team last year was very impressive, despite the fact that they lost that divisional game. They've had some struggles in the playoffs. They had a home game against the Ravens in 2020. They lost that. They had a home game against the Bengals in 2021. They lost that. There just has been a lot of, besides that AFC championship run, there's been a lot of stock up and then your stock goes way down. And it just feels like there's no consistency or balance for this Tennessee team. They have always had a great defense, always had a great run game, but when it's all on Tannehill, it's not really able to get done. And I think there could be your spark with a very talented quarterback who's kind of like Trey Lance, who's a very much of a project, but has all the tools to potentially make it work with a guy like Mike Vrabel. So, guys, thanks for listening to the Man with the Plan podcast, episode 103. This has been my NFL Week 2 recap with some just topics sprinkled in there. And you got to listen to me be a Marvel nerd for a couple seconds. So I hope you didn't cringe too hard about that. But thank you guys, as always. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you're listening to your podcast. Thank you guys for 10,000 listeners. That's crazy. Here's to the next 10,000. Spread the word about the show. Leave a like, comment, or subscribe, like I just said. Keep spreading that word, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day and take care.